Ladies and gentlemen, the show we've all been waiting for, Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present REP Paranormal and Friends with your hosts, Kim Purvis and Allison Robinson. Live every Thursday night on Spreaker, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Be sure to check out their Facebook page, REP Paranormal Busters.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome everybody to another night of REP Paranormal and Friends. We have a special guest tonight. We have Dr. Michael Terzi on. He is an angel medium, Reiki master, and a spiritual teacher, and an optometrist. So welcome. You have quite the long list there.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to add to it slowly, I guess, just making sure I got all the quality titles in there, But thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to doing the show here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So how did you come about knowing that you were like an angel whisperer or medium?
Oh, well, kind of an interesting story. Obviously, I was usually in the science field for most of my life. As a kid, I had a few little paranormal experiences here and there, but it wasn't anything that was really too amazing to the point where I couldn't kind of explain it away. That's what we kind of do. We kind of just think about, oh, that was kind of weird, but then it could have been this or it could have been that. And so as a kid, I had a couple of things, but that was about it. And then going into college and going into medical school, I was all about the science, all about medical, just trying to get to the point where I can be in a position to help people in any way that I can. And that was kind of calling to me in the moment. However, when I was in medical school, going through the motions, I started to get all of these really bad panic attacks that would happen to me all the time. And that wasn't me. I was always a pretty kickback kind of guy going through high school, going through undergrad. I was always, I studied. If I pass, I pass. I don't, I don't. I was always just kind of there. In fact, I would even try to help my fellow classmates sometimes every now and then. If they were struggling or getting stressed out, I would just try to calm them down a little bit because, hey, you did as much as you could. But then I started having those same kind of issues, and I didn't know what was really going on. So much to the point that even after any kind of test or things like that, I would be driving on my 2-hour-long commute home, and I would be having these panic attacks in the car. I would be crying, I would be screaming, I would be like, what is wrong with me? It was so intense. And I'm like, this is not me. Why am I feeling this way? And it wasn't even as if it was anything that was super significant that happened that day. And so I told my wife about it finally after about, 2 or 3 months of it actually happening to me. Yeah. And, as most guys do, I kind of kept it in and didn't want to share it all, And I didn't want her to have to deal with it. And so then finally it got to the point where it was just getting too crazy and I had to tell her. And she says, well, and she's listening and she's taking it all. And she says, well, maybe you're an empath. And I said, well, what's an empath? She was like, I have no idea. Let's look it up. And it was one of those little jokes that we tell because she just kind of got this download. She just knew that maybe you're an empath. It just came out of nowhere. And I'm looking it up. And as a doctor, I go, oh, I have all of these symptoms, even though they're not really symptoms, But I was looking at it like, this is me. This is what's happening to me. I'm feeling all of these emotions from everybody else as if it's my own, because not only was I getting emotion during all these things, but I was getting these weird thoughts in my head, like, oh, my dad's going to kill me, or, oh, I should change my answer from A to B, and it was all these things. It was just clouding, and it was just making my head just this big jumbled mess. And I had no idea what was going on. And that turned out that it was this. And as I started to go through this, trying to figure out, initially trying to turn it off, but realizing that I couldn't, I just started trying to go through the motions, trying to figure out how can I use this to my advantage. And as I was trying to learn from it and go through my experiences and embrace being an empath, I saw my first human spirit. And it was something that was incredibly jarring, and I wasn't expecting it. And it was a silhouette that eventually, as I connected with it, I guess you could say, became a little bit more clear. And then I saw a decent picture of who this man was standing in front of me, but I couldn't hear him yet. It was still, every time he opened his mouth, I would get that ringing, that and it's almost like the Charlie Brown teachers, it was like wah, 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 and I was like, man, I'm sorry, I can't hear you, but I could feel and sense some of what he was saying, so I was able to communicate somewhat. And eventually he left. I saw a few other spirits, same thing, just this weird ringing. My empathy was getting too strong. I was still trying to see patients. It was getting in my way of passing exams as I was finishing up things in medical school, and I just didn't know what to do. So finally I just had it. I was sitting in my room just with my wife, and I was breaking down, getting all upset. I just want to be a doctor. Why is all this happening to me? This is not what I wanted. This is not what I expected in my life at this point in my life. I'm in my 30s now. What is going on? And so finally, I just was just yelling and breaking down. My wife was being super supportive and loving about it, of course. And then outside my window, there was this amazingly brilliant white light that just started coming towards me. And I started freaking out because as I would look at it, I wouldn't see it. But again, it was kind of like a spirit where I would look down and this light was so bright, so much so that I even closed my physical eyes because it was just so bright, it was blinding.
Oh, wow.
But as it got closer, I felt this amazing warmth and this undeniable, unconditional love just started pouring into me. And I even started to just tears just streaming down my face. And it wasn't even like an ugly face cry. Like I wasn't even really crying. Yeah, I know. It was just tears just going down. And I was like, what is happening to me right now? Right. And then I finally heard my first thing where it came closer and it said, Michael, I am your angel. I am your guardian angel. And from then on, it was just kind of, I was just so overcome by emotion at that point. And learning about him and talking with him and feeling him, I started seeing my wife's angels. I saw the rest of mine. I came out of the spiritual closet to my parents and I saw their angels. Oh, wow. And I saw my sisters, and it just kind of snowballed to the point where people started hearing about it. And I started to do guardian angel readings for people. And as that happened, I then realized by taking, actually we were doing a little stay vacation in a small mountain town out here, that I could actually communicate with not just my angels and people who are living, but I can see spirit and also talk with their angels. Because even though you are not living anymore in a human body, your angels never really leave you. Just some spirits that might be stuck or might be lost or confused in a home or a business or wherever they might be, just can't see them because they're in a lower place at that moment. And so I was able to then communicate with their angels. And that kind of snowballed into a paranormal thing where I started doing actual investigating, but also using my abilities as a medium to be able to talk with their angels and talk with the spirit. So, yeah, it just kind of snowballed into all of this within the last 3 years. And it's been kind of crazy. So,
oh, wow,
yeah.
That's awesome. Now, with this and your job, do you ever have one of them come up, like you have a patient or something in there, and then you start to get the feels of the vibes or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. And it would happen all the time at first because I didn't understand my boundaries. Because I maybe at first glance, maybe people don't see that in me, but I always want to help and I give way too much. My angels told me initially, and I say it for people during readings too, sometimes we give too much unto ourselves. And so when that was happening, I would try to do both. I'm trying to do an exam and then also trying to listen to the spirit, or in between patients, I would try to listen to the spirit, and it just got too crazy. And so after a while, I kind of made up the joke that I would send them to the waiting room because I'm like, no, I'm with somebody right now. Like, this is a boundary right now.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to stay over here until my lunch break or until this. And most spirits will understand if they're sentient enough to kind of get it, which the ones that would actually come into the office are pretty understanding. I mean, they want the help and they understand what I'm saying. So they'll usually, back off for a little bit. And it's just about keeping those boundaries, calling on my angels to help me keep those boundaries, especially if it's something that's crazy negative that might come my way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important for everybody, no matter what business they might be in. I know there are mediums out there that have other jobs. And so I think that's super important, is to be able to kind of keep yourself open, but at the same time, keep it separate, because you can't do both as good at the same time. And if you just keep yourself open constantly, you're going to be completely drained and dead by the end of the day, every single day. So, because you're putting yourself into your profession and then also putting yourself into your other profession. And when you're doing two at the same time, it just gets to be too much. So yeah, it happens. But I learned to kind of control that now and keep that boundary up.
That's good.
Definitely.
Yes. I was going to ask you that too. Like, how do you balance, like, doing all of your I lost my train of thought here.
That's okay.
The word's right there on the tip of my tongue and I can't think of it right now. When you do your readings, how do you keep that in between, working and...
Yeah. At first, it was really that as a doctor, I was putting that kind of first, because it was a almost every day kind of 9 to 5 thing. And so then after I was done seeing patients for the day, then I would schedule a reading, so I was working an 8-hour day, and then I would come home and do a 1 or 2 hour reading. And then the next day I would do that. And then there would be a day off I would have, so then I would fill that up. And obviously my wife would get a little annoyed by it, because all the energy and everything is going into her work. And now I have another work. Mm-hmm. And so obviously we don't have a lot of time for ourselves.
Right.
And so eventually I had to back off from something a little bit. And as this continues to grow, I can't ignore it. It's a passion of mine now. I'm striving for that. And it's just something that's a part of me. So I backed off a little bit from the doctor stuff, even to where I only go in maybe like 2 days a week or something, just to see some regular patients or to help out in any way. And now I'm doing this like almost every day. Before we started this today, I had 2 readings. And so tomorrow I have about 3 or 4, and, just kind of just snowballs into that. So yeah, at first it was tough to juggle, especially since my readings are usually an hour now. But at first they were 2 hours, because I was learning how to channel it. I was learning how to understand them, because they're a little bit different than speaking with a human spirit. So it was a little bit more difficult for me to get things at first. So I would say it's a 2 hour reading to people. So then I would work all day and then do a 2 hour reading. It would get kind of crazy. So eventually I had to learn how to balance it. You're right. And it wasn't easy, but I got there, and I'm at a decent place now, especially with, obviously all the terrible things that happened with COVID. It was also one of those things that kind of helped us understand and get a perspective on things, kind of like a reset button, I've been saying to people. The angels kind of saw it as a reset button for some people. Now, all the terrible things that happened during it, tragic, and there's nothing that I could say to make anyone feel better who's lost a loved one or has been sick. But for some of us who have been affected in different ways, one of the positives out of it is for us to really take a look at what's really important to us. What do we truly love to do? What are the things that we need to pay closer attention to, as opposed to just getting buried in work constantly? And it helps us slow down a little bit. And that's what I had to do, is I saw that this was something that was more important to me. This was something that got most fulfillment. And I feel like I'm helping people a little bit more than I am even just prescribing contacts or glasses, which is a noble profession, and it's really great. And I do like it. But at the same time, I'm getting a lot more out of this. And so, yeah, learn how to juggle it that way by finding out what's most important.
Absolutely. Now, how does this, okay, so you became a Reiki master, but then you also do one that you call like angel Reiki.
Yeah.
So can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. So yeah, as my mediumship continued and I was doing angel readings for people, my angels kind of pushed towards more also physical healing. And because I'm a doctor, because I went through, now I'm an optometrist, so obviously I'm not a normal MD, but I always was interested in the healing. I was an EMT for a little while, and I was always kind of interested in that. And I learned about Reiki from somebody, and I thought that it was interesting to hear about energy healing, because my former self would kind of look at that and be like, really, they're just energy? Like, because obviously science background, science guy, doctor, some of them don't really understand this kind of stuff. And that's how I was. But now coming into it, talking with the angels, them always telling me about energy, and me seeing it now myself, seeing auras, seeing the energy of spirits and angels, it was something that I was really interested in. And so I did a little research on it, and I found somebody to be able to teach me. I did the original Usui branch of Reiki, which is the one I think that was founded back in the 20s, I think, the 1920s. And so I learned that one. And when I was finished with that and got my master's in that, I felt as though I was still missing something. And so then my angel said, well, there is this part of it. And so they kind of taught me a little bit of how they do energy healing. And because of, I guess, the way my own aura is, or the way my energy works, I was able to kind of mimic some of what they do. Now, obviously, I'm not a miraculous healer. I'm not going to touch you and you're going to be healed instantly. But I'm going through and I'm using the Usui method with these extra techniques that my angels taught me. One of which is using my angel mediumship to be able to help. When I have someone come in for Reiki, I don't have them tell me anything about what's wrong with them. I just say, okay, you come to me for Reiki. This is how the Reiki works. All you have to do is either sit down or lie down, get comfortable, just relax. And I'll take care of everything else. And then I connect with their angels, and the angels tell me where to go. Where am I going to be moving the energy? Where are there blocks? Which chakras need the most work? Is there stagnant energy here? Is what's actually happening? Is it an emotional root? Is there a spiritual or physical root to the issues they're having? And I go through all of that. And then also within that, I also do what I call energy transmutation, which I go by the scientific principle in physics that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just changes forms. And so I know this isn't true for every Reiki master or every Reiki practitioner, but when I was taught is that you take the energy and you ground it out through the feet. So you're pulling the energy out and then it goes out into the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. But the way I saw it was that you want energy conservation. It's not quite as efficient. So, I mean, we're pulling all this great energy out that they had that's just in a negative space at the moment. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I take it out and I take it in myself and I transmute it into a more positive healing energy and give it back to them. Since it was already their energy, it just goes right back to them. But now it's in a positive light. So that was a technique that they taught me as well. So just being able to connect with the angels, to be able to do that kind of technique as well with the original Usui method, I kind of made a hybrid of angel Reiki. And there's a few more things that go into it, but I don't have to go too far into the little minutia. But yeah, it was basically just me being able to connect with the angels, to be able to connect with people on that level, and to be able to kind of help them not just pull out the energy, but to also give it back and to help them to be able to heal, because that's what Reiki really is promoting the self-healing within the body already. Mm-hmm. And it was really great because as I went through it, I started to see a lot of really amazing results. You know, there were some people that came to me with hypertension and I was able to help them fix that. And then they would stop taking medications that had these terrible side effects for them. You know, I mean, these are just little examples, obviously joint pain and things like that. It was really cool. And then I saw how great it's been for other Reiki practitioners, seeing how it's a little bit more mainstream now. When you hear about different things in the paranormal or spiritual world, a lot more people know about Reiki. I mean, there is even Reiki practitioners in doctors' offices now. And there's Reiki practitioners in hospitals and hospice centers. So it's really a passion of mine to be able to do this stuff, because not only do I love doing the readings and everything like that, but the healing aspect helps to be able to give you that extra understanding into the world where science and spirituality can kind of come together and complete the picture.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome.
Well, thanks. I like it. I mean,
no, yeah, it is. It's really interesting. It's really awesome. Now, like, when you do this, I mean, do you do like any events? Do you do any expos or anything like that, or you just do it from your house, or how does that work? Like when you do the
when I do the Reiki. No, I usually just do it at my home. And I mean, there have been times where I've gone to people's homes and done it with them there as well. I have held a couple of events just talking about essential oils and Reiki and how they kind of combine. I don't put oils on people. I just put it on my hands, but essential oils, I believe, do have certain things that can help us heal from different things. It's a very natural process of healing. So I did a kind of combo class with a friend of mine. And so I did Reiki during that class. I haven't gone to any big expos yet. I haven't. I was going to do a local wellness fair, but because of COVID, it was canceled.
Oh, yeah.
That was going to be more so promoting the paranormal team that me and my wife have. Otherwise, I didn't. Honestly, I don't even know. Are there a lot of places out there that have expos that do Reiki there? I don't even know.
They do a lot of those things. They do a lot of readings. There's Reiki. Yeah. There's a lot of those.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I was
in Iowa. Yeah. So it's actually kind of interesting to see. I haven't had it actually performed on me. I've kind of thought about it, but I've seen it, and it's pretty interesting and pretty cool to see. And there's quite a few of them, that do it. So
no, it is interesting. Yeah, the first time that I tried it, it was very odd for me to feel that even as I was doing it for somebody, to be able to connect with that energy and to be able to feel it moving and going to where it needs the most help, or going to where things need to be pushed out, or unlocking chakras or doing things like that. It was really interesting to feel that kind of thing. And then the people would talk about what they felt afterwards, and it was amazing that they said, "Oh, I could have sworn you were touching my head, or that you were." And I do no touch Reiki. Like, because I'm a guy and I feel weird. Like, I also, as a doctor, if I'm doing Reiki on a person, it's just me and them in there, whether it's a guy or a girl. That's just weird. And so, and plus, I don't feel like with Reiki, like you really have to touch, because you have the energy field around us, and if you can connect with that energy, then you can kind of just move it. But yeah, so it was really interesting for them to say, "Oh, I could have sworn you were touching my head, like you were grabbing my head." And I was like, no, I was mostly around your stomach area, so, and it was really interesting how they felt that, or they would feel it around the stomach, and they would say that they felt this pull, or they feel this lightness happen all of a sudden. They just feel so much lighter. And it was really amazing to hear the feedback, but also just really crazy to feel it. I mean, I can't stress enough how much I came from science. I mean, I was not into the whole spiritual, and I mean, I knew about it, but it just didn't call to me. And then in that moment, when all that stuff changed, it all just came in, and it was really amazing to feel. And it's been an interesting ride.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like it, definitely. And so, also, since you do that, you said you also have a paranormal group.
Yes. So my wife actually created the group because she has been with me whenever I have any of these interesting experiences. Like, she's always around. She's like my best friend, so we're always going around doing stuff together. And she was there when I had my first experience of trying to help a soul understand that they don't have to be here anymore, to talk with them, to empathize with them, and to kind of help them do what I do during the Reiki, as I take in some of the negative energy they have, transmute it, and give it back to them as positive, but to also just kind of help them understand that they're good. They don't have to be here anymore, and to hear their story and talk with them. And so she felt as though it'd be great to be able to do paranormal investigating, to really get out there and to have people know about it, because the ones I did were just kind of by chance. I would just happen to see a spirit here, and then I would kind of help, and I would help them understand that they could move on, and then they would move on. But there's all these people that you see the television shows where they go in and they get all the evidence, which we still do. We still use equipment, but then they say, "Okay, I think everything's all right, bye." And then they would just leave. And no offense to anybody that does that, because maybe they just don't know what to do next. Right. Like, I didn't, I just understand that maybe they felt, okay, we did the investigation. Now they know that what's going on is real. Maybe that will help. But then the homeowner is still kind of left with the spirit. And then we often forget that 95% of the time, the spirits that are around us are still people. You know, we have souls. They are souls just without a body. And so now they're left wondering what's going on. You know, I'm here, yet no one's able to kind of, you know, they're still stuck. And so she formed and named the group called RISE. And it stands for Rise and Inspire Soul Empowerment. And yeah, I love the acronym. I love the name. It was super awesome. She's really creative. And she created my website and our RISE website. And it was really great. I also have two other people that were clients and students of mine that I found to be very capable mediums actually joined the group as well. So the four of us will go out to different businesses and homes. We've been to a couple of little famous places here and there, but we're mostly just trying to be of service to people. And we use our powers as mediums, our gifts as mediums, as well as paranormal equipment and things like that to kind of give physical evidence, but then to also say, hey, this is what we're feeling, to connect with the spirits, to connect with whatever energy is there, and to help them understand that they can rise, kind of, you know, shameless plug there, they can rise up with their own power, that we don't have the key to heaven, we're not magic, and we're not going to be able to push you up. All we can do is kind of help you and support you along the way. And we've been able to help a lot of different spirits, and people would say, oh, well, there's no real proof that you're really doing that. Well, I mean, there are times where we do this. I mean, every single time people say, yeah, nothing is here anymore. Like there was, and now there's not, you know, I mean, and so that's proof enough for me, whether people believe in what we do or not. There's plenty of people that have believed in it, asked us for help, and it has worked. And they were so thankful for it. And we also helped the soul, not just the homeowner. They were stuck. They were sad, lost, angry, confused. You know, not everything, I've said in other interviews, not everything is demonic. You know, people think that everything, if it's some sort of negativity or some sort of heavy energy, that it's a demon. And so then they will call in a priest or they'll call in this or that. But usually it's just a human spirit. That feels like they're kind of lost, angry, confused, sad. They're on a lower resonance, a lower vibration, and they need help. Well, what help is it if someone comes in saying, I damn you to hell, go back to hell? That's meeting negative with negative, or provoking them, or trying to do all this stuff that you're not showing respect to the people. They're people. They're not your little toys or playthings. You know, I mean, it's like they have feelings, they have emotion. And they need that extra help. And when people don't understand that, it's meeting negative with negative at that point. I mean, if you're angry and I come at you and I yell at you saying, stop being angry, or, you know, kind of provoking you, it doesn't make you feel any better. So we meet that negativity, whether it be angry or sad or whatever other emotion it might be, with a positive light, talking with them, understanding them, letting them know that we're help, empathizing as an empath should be doing. You know, and so we're using that to be able to help them understand that they're okay. You're not really stuck. And then I call on their angels to come in, just as people say when they're doing things, your family members are there waiting for you. You know, the family members are there too sometimes, but their angel is always there. They just can't see them. And so as they continue to kind of rise up, raise their energy, they see their angel. And it's amazing. Like I get chills sometimes. Because I can't even like fathom how amazing it is. Like the first one that I ever helped was this little boy, and I'm writing about it in my book right now because I've also had time to start writing my book finally. And this little boy was stuck in a place that wasn't even his home anymore. It had been turned into like a restaurant, and this poor little spirit had been there for who knows how long. And when he was finally able to understand that he could find his family somewhere else, not here, his angel came. And angels are massive, like they're humongous. So, I mean, he came down, and the boy looked at him with tears in his eyes. And he looks at him, and he just says, finally, I'm okay. And he jumps up, and he gives the angel this huge hug. And I'm just watching all of this, and I'm like, holy shit. I was like, this is amazing. Like, he's going to be okay. And the angel just kind of looked at me and kind of nodded his head. And then they were gone. And we were driving home from that, and I was like, I got to do this. Like this, it's not even just it's not an option anymore. Like, no matter if we have a group, no matter if anyone really understands, if anyone, even if it's just one person in a month, contacts me to be able to go, I go. I don't charge for it. I don't do anything like that. I go and I help and I do as much as I can. Wherever they are, if I can get there, I will be there. Because everybody needs hope. And I think, especially now when we look at things, everyone's the same on the soul level. You know, we all have a soul and we all need help, especially when things like this happen. And to ignore them like that, or to just make it into almost like a passing emotion, like, okay, yeah, there was a spirit there, okay, bye. It's just kind of sad, like that you would feel slighted too. And so it was something that I really wanted to get into, so that's why we started doing it. And it's that as well has been a very interesting ride. We come across a gamut of different souls and different people needing help, but it's been very rewarding.
Didn't you go to Italy?
We did, yeah.
I saw a little blip of that.
Oh, that's cool.
How was that?
We found out about, because we went to, what was it called, CryptidCon in Kentucky. My wife is from North Carolina, so we were visiting her family and learned about CryptidCon. So we just kind of drove up. You know, I mean, it was like 8 hours or something. It's a long drive, but still, we wanted to go. And when we got there, there was somebody there that I had been talking with for a little while. Her name is MJ Dixon, and she's from, she's originally from South Africa, but she lives in England. And she has happened to be there because she has something called Sage Paranormal over in England. And there aren't a lot of paranormal groups over in England. There's a few here and there. But she's been really involved in production and in a lot of different things. And she hosts this thing. It was like a paranormal cruise. And so she told us about it. I thought that it was amazing. We saved up some money and we went. And we went with some friends, in fact, that live locally here as well. And it was really awesome to be able to go, because amazing energy in Rome. And then we took a train up to Venice. And then Venice is where most of the paranormal stuff happened during the paranormal cruise, because we got to go to Poveglia Island. Obviously, it's not open to the public. I cannot comment on how we were able to get on the island, but we were able to go, and we were only able to stay there for a few hours, but for obvious reasons. But it was pretty amazing to be able to go there. Poveglia Island, if people don't know, has a really awful history. You know, there was used during the plague as a place to send plague patients away from the mainland. And so hundreds of thousands of people died and were incinerated there, and their ash is still in the soil to this day. As well as there was also a hospital for the mentally ill that was also established there. And supposedly some pretty horrific things happened during there, including the mysterious death of the head doctor, who either committed suicide or was pushed from the bell tower. No one really knows for certain. Yeah, it was really amazing to go there, not just because of the crazy energy of the spirits that were around, but the island is just reclaiming everything. Like, just to see all the vegetation just kind of take over and all these crumbled buildings, and to feel the spirit that were still there. Yeah, it was kind of mind-blowing. The person who organized it, like I said, MJ, was even able to get a couple of EVPs on her voice recorder, and I was able to connect with some spirits there and try to talk to them as best I could. Obviously, it's hard to do within, a very crunched time frame, but I was able to help some. And it was really amazing. And then Venice itself, we went on a street tour around Venice, and there was a guy telling us about all the haunted locations that were around the immediate area. And so that was really amazing. So yeah, Italy, going to different countries like that. I was able to go to England and actually see MJ again, and she had her own event, which was really cool, over at Coombe Abbey. And that, again, was truly amazing. And it's interesting to feel how things change when you go to different countries.
Oh, I bet.
Energy is a little bit different, not just between the people, but also between the spirits. I didn't expect that. I thought it was just a soul is a soul, but they actually respond very differently. And you have to kind of meet them on that level to be able to help them understand things, depending on belief system, how they were feeling in that moment, the energy that is in the area. It's it's complicated. It gets really complicated when it comes to stuff like that. But it was an amazing experience. Yeah, I wouldn't have traded it for anything.
Oh, yeah, that would be. Yeah, I saw that little clip on there, and I was just like, wow, that was even just that little clip. Just there wasn't any really sound other than the music, but it was just intense. Just seeing it.
Yeah, my wife put that together.
She did a good job.
She loves doing those little things. Like I said, she made the websites and does all that stuff. So yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, I was wondering if you were like maybe writing a book or something. I was going to say you should probably write a book, and then you brought it up. So do you have a title or anything for your book, or when it might be out?
Well, my original title was going to be Guardian Angels and Their Relationship with Us, or something like that around those lines. But I am working on it. It has the same kind of feel to it but I am also putting in some extra things because a lot of people have asked me about my story. And I wanted to be able to start from the beginning, just tell like a brief scenario of it. Like it's not going to be the entire book, obviously. Like I'm splitting it up into sections. So it's going to be about me and the things that I experienced through my life that kind of led me to this point. Because I had told somebody most of my story once, and they said, a lot of people could benefit from this. You went through a lot of different stuff, even at a very young age. And I was like, okay, well, I will tell it, for people who are interested. So that's the first part, is leading up to the point where I'm at now. And then I go into angels, because again, I don't want to knock anybody, and I'm not going to say anybody personally. But there are some people that have angel books out there that I have not gotten the same information. Like there have been some people that have said that angels have castles or mansions up in heaven or things like that. And, not even the archangels that I've talked to have ever said that they have a house. They don't need it. That's not what they do. They're constantly doing things, moving around the world, the dimensions, whatever people want to say. They're always working, always doing stuff. They have endless energy. They don't really have a house. And so I wanted to be able to go into archangels a little bit more so people understand them, go into guardian angels and help them understand who they really are, how they relate to us, how they are connected with us even, because it's on a much deeper level than anyone really understands. And kind of talk a little bit of who they are, because they're kind of the unsung heroes. A lot of people always talk about spirit, they talk about devils or demons, and they talk about, little things like that, but angels don't get a lot of press time. It's because people just don't understand who they really are. And they're truly amazing, and they want to be, they're our friends, and they want us to know that they are, and that we're connected with them and trying to go through this life with us, trying to guide us and trying to help us understand who we are and help us get through our life lessons in the least amount of pain as possible. And then I'm also going to go into the lessons that the angels have taught me. There are certain things that are different kinds of concepts that a lot of people haven't heard of before that the angels kind of threw my way, and I've made a list. I haven't gotten to that part of the book yet, but I will be writing all that stuff down and throughout different chapters, trying to help other people understand these concepts, because they are very great at kind of self-help. Kind of helping people understand how they can better themselves, or maybe help them understand something about themselves that they never really understood before. And because angels have a really great way of throwing out all the jargon, just like pushing it all out and getting down to brass tacks. This is what it is. It's much more simple than what other people would have us believe. There are some weird new concepts, obviously, that they throw out to me, but as they explain it and I try to explain it, it makes sense. It resonates. And then the last part of it is going to be something. I just did a series class, a 3-part class on intuition and the law of attraction, and about how they kind of coincide and how they work together to help us to be able to achieve some of the things that we want to achieve. And so that's going to be the last part of the book, because I got all that information down. I did the class. It went very well. I didn't have like a humongous number of people because I didn't want that. But I originally wanted 12. I ended up getting 14. So people really wanted to respond to it. More wanted to come in, but I said, I just wanted to keep it right here because I wanted to be personal. I want people to be able to ask questions. And I also wanted to get feedback because I want to know exactly how people are taking it and if they're understanding it. Because I just want to throw in a bunch of stuff in a book and then hope people get it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's going to be kind of like a 3-part book, but it's going to be just in one. A friend of mine that I met actually in England during that one event that lives over here in California as well, Karen A. Dahlman. I did a YouTube video interview with her after I gave her a reading, which was cool. She suggested it because she's authored a few books. And she said, you know what? Everything you're telling me, throw it into one. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, it'll be kind of big, I think. And she'll be like, no, I think people will like it. And I said, okay, cool. So I'm about halfway through. And then hopefully I'll be able to get an editor to look at it. And I have a couple of places that I might be able to go for the publishing. I've already looked into that. So we'll see how it goes. So hopefully.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I've done a couple of interviews since I started it, and they people have been like, where's your book? Where is it? Where can I get it? I said, no. I said I wasn't done yet. I'm not done yet. And they're like, oh, okay. And so I'm excited to get it out there. I mean, whether I sell, 10 copies or 1 million copies, at least I have that information out there for people to look at, because like I said, I think I owe it to the angels to be able to represent them in a way that at least I know that they'll be happy with. Now, like I said, there are plenty of books out there that have angel information in it. My goal is to not poo-poo those, because they have a lot of great things in them that are correct. But then there are some things out there that people are taking in, and they're like there's one thing, and I'm not going to say anything else about it except for someone in a book called Archangel Michael, basically alluding to the fact that he was like a dumb jock. And I was like, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, in the few times that I've spoken with Michael, he's amazing. He's obviously super intelligent. He is so strong and loving and clear, and he's just, Michael, I can't say enough about that guy. He's awesome. He's just great. And to paint him out as someone that likes to play pranks and talks kind of weird and just goes around like with his big muscles because, he's the main, people see him as like the main warrior angel, and that's not him. It's just not him. And it was kind of weird for me to hear that. And so that's why that's what motivated me to be able to put this stuff in there, so that people can really understand and know what our angels are really like, especially our guardian angels, because people know a lot about Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Ariel, Uriel, all these big archangels that get all the press time, but who knows about my guardian angel? Pelineraton, no one knows that name. But I want people to know their guardian angel names, and I want them to know who they really are and how much they know about us. And not just that they want to help you, but they want to connect with you and be with you. And they want you to succeed. We just have to learn how to listen to those messages and know what they're saying and how they're saying it.
Very well put. That was very well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Not fun. Oh, we do have a question from Victoria. She's wanting to know when you're going to have another class.
Oh, great. Yes. So I did that series, and I'm going to redo the series again soon, of the Intuition Law of Attraction. But also I have 2 other classes that I'm going to put out here very soon. One of them I've already done locally, and it's called Empath Equals Strength, because I know that there are a lot of empaths. In fact, someone that I spoke with recently on interviews put it very nicely as saying there are a lot of undiagnosed empaths out there. And I said, yeah, that's true. That's a good way of putting it, especially with me being a doctor. So yeah, cool. There are a lot of those people out there, and a lot of them see it as a curse, as I did for a little while. I was trying to turn it off. It was so hard to deal with. I didn't know what to do. And so then finally I kind of understood, and I learned how to cope with it. And I understood that it has to be a part of me. It just has to be. I have to learn how to use it for my own strength. So now I use my gifts as an empath to be able to help myself and help others. And so I have a little class about that, explaining how I did that and how the angels helped me with it. And then there's another empath class that I'm developing. I think it's pretty much done, called The Empath and the Narcissist. Because that is one of the most toxic relationships there is in the entire world, and yet it is amazingly common, because empaths want to help so badly, and they give everything they can. And the narcissists, they're going to take it. because you're giving it. And they're going to keep the empath down thinking that they need the narcissist. It's just whole vicious circle. And it takes an empath to the breaking point, to the point where they actually get out of that relationship. I'm not even talking about just romantic. I had some people that said were my friends that ended up being that way. And that was brutal, and some people have even grown up with narcissists as parents. And so there are some people and so I go into that a little bit to try to help people understand what constitutes a narcissist, not just a selfish person, but also what a real clinical diagnosis of a narcissist is. I'm not a psychologist, but I've done a lot of research on it, and I've talked to my angels about it. And so I want people to understand, what is an empath, what is a narcissist, and why is this relationship so crazy, and how can we avoid it and fix it? So I'm going to be doing classes like that. I have a few other classes on my website that I haven't been able to develop recently, but I am going to be getting to all those. So I'm not going to have another class this month, but I'm shooting for July to be able to start. I do have a local class that's going on in a city next to mine here in California, but I'm sure Victoria is probably not from the Inland Empire over here. So it may be difficult for her to be able to get to that one. But
I think she's from New Jersey, I think.
Yeah, it's a little tough. But this one
she just had a reading from you about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Victoria. Oh, okay, cool. Got it. Okay, yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, sorry, I've had so many readings. I'm like, this sounds familiar. Sorry about that. Yeah, it is coming out, the other classes, and this one that I'm doing locally is going to be a really great, bouncing off point to be able to do it on Zoom, because I want people to see, because it's a psychic development class. Because I do private classes with people for the same price as a reading and for the same amount of time. I connect with your angel to help you understand your gifts better, because some people know that they're empaths, or some people know that they see spirit, but they're not sure how to make it stronger. They're not sure what to do. And as a lot of people know, everybody learns differently. And so who better than your angel to help you understand how to fix that? Like I said, the two people in my group, besides me and my wife, were also former students, and they kind of flourished with their own gifts. And so I wanted to be able to do it for everybody else. But at the same time, not everybody can afford the private class. So now I've developed this development class as a jumping off point. And if this does well locally, then I'm going to throw it up on Zoom as well.
Oh,
so
awesome.
Yeah, it'll come out for everybody who wants it. And like I said, I don't like charging an arm and a leg for public classes, so it's going to be very affordable for people who need it.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
We do have a few questions here that have been going through chat here, so I'm just going to start off. Kim's been writing them down for me because I haven't been able to keep up with it.
Okay.
Usually we have a couple pages, so.
Okay. Good.
Let's see here. The first question is, what do you fear the most of being an empath?
What do I fear the most? When I just started out as being an empath, the thing that I was afraid of the most was how much it was taking over my emotions, how much it was actually controlling me. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't something that was ever me. I'm not a perfect person by any means, but I was usually pretty calm and collected as a guy, as an adult. And as all of these things came in, I was afraid because I wasn't able to understand what was really happening to me. It seemed like it was out of my control. And no matter how going with the flow we are, we all want some sort of control, especially over what we feel. We want to know that we can control that. And I felt like I couldn't. And that was one of the things that really scared me. Otherwise, as far as being an empath with spirit or being an empath with people, I don't fear anything with that, because now I know that any kind of energy that comes into my field, anything that comes to me, I can control that. I have encountered some pretty heavy stuff going to different homes, going to famous places that have paranormal activity, some very heavy things. And I have been able to take that and transmute it and put out my positivity and put up my shields if I need to, and I can control all of that. So as an empath with regards to things like that I'm not really afraid of. But the biggest fear was me not being able to control it, because it was jarring. And anyone who has had anxiety in their life or depression can attest to that. Even if you're not diagnosed as it, you're having these attacks or you're having these issues. And that was something that I understood after going through all of that, because it was very overwhelming and you don't feel like you have any control and you don't know what to do. But there are some people that I've talked with and helped with about being an empath. And once they realize that they are an empath and they can control it, the anxiety goes away because now they know what's happening to them. Because a lot of anxiety and fear comes from the unknown.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure does.
Hopefully that answers the question somehow.
Yes, you did a very good job.
Thank you.
All right, let's see here. Next question is, how many locations have you done, and what do you prefer, private investigations with family or commercial locations?
Wow, that's a good question. Let's see. How many have we done? Oh, man. I would say that since we've been doing it for actual paranormal investigating with the group, and even counting the little ones that me and my wife have done before the group, I guess it's been about 50 or so. And it's only been a couple of years, so that's a pretty decent number for how long we've been doing it.
Yeah, it is.
And as far as what I prefer, there's really great things in both. I mean, honestly, I prefer doing a lot of the private ones myself because these people are suffering. They're having a hard time. And when I say these people, I mean the business and homeowners and the spirit. So being able to go in there, to be able to investigate the area, to be able to tell them what I'm getting, and for them to then tell me their experiences and to see how it correlates, it helps them to feel more empowered because now they know that they're not crazy, that I was getting this before I knew what was happening to them. And to be able to help the spirits move on and to give them physical evidence to show that they're also not crazy. And then for them to feel so much better to be able to take back their home or to be able to take back their land or their business. It's really, really rewarding. The commercial ones are really cool because you get a lot of different energies and a lot of different spirits. And it's like we've been to the Queen Mary a couple of times, and I say a couple of times because there's so much activity there, and the ship is massive. So there's no way to be able to investigate or to be able to help everything there. In fact, we even went with some other well-established investigators because they had like a tour, so we paid for tickets and went because they had access to places that we couldn't get to. And so it was really cool to go in there and to be able to feel those spirits, to be able to say what I'm getting, and for it to come through on one of those geoports. And those geo boxes, actually answering and to feel all that. And it was really awesome. So the commercial stuff is really great because you get a wide variety of different things. Whereas if you're doing a private thing, it's usually one thing or the other, I guess you could say. So, and plus there's an element of me and my wife especially love to travel. So if we can get enough money together to go somewhere, we're going to go. I mean, like I said, Coombe Abbey over in England was a really amazing experience, and got to investigate with Greg and Dana Newkirk, who were there as guests. They were really nice, and that was really cool. And well as some other local mediums, and it was a Bloody Mary was there, which was really, really nice to meet her. She's very cool. She's very interesting. But so you get those interesting experiences from those commercial places. I know that right now we probably won't get a lot of invitations to purposefully come to a lot of the commercial places because some of them use their connection with the paranormal to have people come in for business. And our whole thing is helping the spirits move on so there isn't any more.
Yeah.
But we've gotten a couple of calls to go to a few places, so we'll see if it actually pans out. So it'll be really cool.
Awesome. All right, let's see here.
Sorry if my answers are long-winded sometimes. Sorry about that.
No, you're perfectly fine. Okay, another question was, somebody was wondering if it's always nice stuff like angels, or is it bad stuff sometimes like demons that you come across?
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Now, if you come for a guardian angel reading, always going to be a guardian angel, always going to be amazing. The readings are about empowerment and guidance and trying to help you through life, so they're super supportive. And so that's always great stuff. But going to investigations, I have encountered a lot of negative stuff. And that's why a little bit ago I said it's not always demonic that people think it is. because the way the angels see it is that there are what we call the fallen, which obviously are actual demons, like fallen angels. That's what they see demons as. That's basically a synergistic title for them to the angels. And then they're what they call the followers, which are human spirits that are kind of, I guess people would call lower level demonic, because they're very angry, very hateful, very manipulative. They can often mimic the behavior of an actual fallen or the energy of them because they're around the fallen so much. And they're really just being manipulated by the demons, by the fallen, to do their bidding. But they see themselves as being able to then manipulate other people to be able to gain power. So I've come across plenty of followers, and it's been kind of crazy, kind of nuts. They're now demons. They're actually extremely, extremely rare. No matter what people tell you, it's super rare to come across anything that's an actual demon. And I've come across 2 cases. They were very, very intense. And right away, as a medium or as an investigator, even who is not quite as sensitive as a medium, an actual fallen is there. Like, it's intense. But I've come across plenty of followers, and I've even had a couple of attachment cases where followers, human spirits, are actually attached to homeowners or business owners. I've only had 2, so that's even rare. But yeah, plenty of negative stuff. I definitely come across that, but we specialize in that because I honestly, I'm not afraid. And neither is my wife, and neither are the other members of my team. And we go in there and we take care of business because we know that we control whatever comes into our territory. Honestly, I don't want to sound cocky, but any kind of negative energy that comes into anyone's energy field, really, if you have the strength within yourself and believe in yourself and your angels, you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. It's when you give that power away through fear or anger that these negative spirits are able to then take advantage of that. And so I'd be lying if I said I hadn't been startled during certain investigations by recordings or things falling or falling off the shelf or, creaky old places, and things like that.
Right.
But when it comes to a spirit, I see it, I feel it, I know it's there. I've had them touch me before. I haven't had any scratches or anything before, but I've had them touch me and I've said, no, it's okay. No, thank you. And I kind of just put up that barrier. I let them know, I'll talk with you. There's a boundary here, though. No matter how negative they come at me, I come at them with a calmness. And so, yeah, we've had negative and positive. It's been a wide gamut of stuff. So, yeah.
All right, let's see here. Somebody wanted to know, I didn't catch who it was. What is your paranormal bucket list?
Oh man. Okay. Well, there's a lot of places that we want to go. First of all, one place as far as a paranormal activity and even people would say a variety of paranormal activity is one that some people might know about, which is called the Hoia Forest in Romania. I want to go there so bad because just the crazy stuff that I felt, even just watching the shows. Like me and my wife were a big fan of the original Destination Truth with Josh Gates because he was very charismatic and it was very entertaining and they went to a lot of amazing places. But when you look back at those episodes of the Hoia Forest, oh man. And then we've looked up things like there's a lot of crazy energy over there. And I'm pretty sure there's some negative stuff over there that we definitely want to go check out. So it's places like that are on my bucket list, honestly. I definitely want to go to what was it called? Well, definitely the Lizzie Borden house because we haven't been able to do that because we're on the West Coast usually. And then oh man, I'm totally drawing a blank right now. My wife is going to kill me. It was, man, I cannot remember. I think it's called the Bel Air house. And it was on an episode of Paranormal Lockdown. And I could tell right when we were watching it, there's so much activity there. So I definitely would love to be able to go there if I was ever able to. As well as there are a few hotels and things like that have a lot of interesting activity that I would like to experience and see. And as well as anywhere else, I know that there's a lot of paranormal activity and some negative stuff over in, and I don't know what it's actually called, but they call it the suicide forest in Japan.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
on Fuji.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to go to all these complicated places,
Yeah.
as well as there's a castle, I believe it is either in Ireland or Scotland that some investigators have gone to that has a lot of activity. So yeah, we want to travel and we want to go to all these crazy places, So yeah, definitely on my bucket list. Yeah. Well, the price.
Yeah, the price. Yeah, some of them are a little pricey.
Yeah, just like
So
they're talking
sponsor
in
me.
chat.
That's totally. What was that?
They're talking about Lizzie Borton's house. It's $2,000 a night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if maybe I can get in there and everything. I am a doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor, Yeah, so no, definitely won't be able to go to something like that. Yeah, no, and if people want to sponsor me, I would love to accept it,
There you
but
go. There you go,
yeah,
guys.
yeah, I mean, it'd be truly awesome to be able to do that kind of investigating. But again, I would have to have the consent of the people that for those actual hotels and places like that, because I do realize, like you said, Lizzie Borden House is $2,000. Well, I mean, if I actually do come in and people aren't getting experiences anymore, then the thing might go down. So obviously the attendance. So we'll see if I ever get asked there.
Yeah. Let's see here. So I need to know, let's see, next question is, what problems have occurred during channeling?
Problems.
Yeah, any problems
Okay.
while you were channeling?
Well, I guess I could say that when I first started doing readings, the biggest problem that I had at first was being able to, like I said, be able to hear the human spirits. Because at first that was a little bit difficult for me. But then when I connected with my own angel, I could hear him, and then I could actually, over the course of a few weeks, start to hear human spirits a lot more. So the hardest thing for channeling for me was at first I was just getting messages in my head and not being able to use my clairaudience at all. As things started to change and I started to get better at it, that became easier. But one of the hardest things sometimes is that when people, at first when I was doing things, wouldn't be quite as open to it. It's an intimidating thing to do a reading for somebody because you worry about, is it going to be fulfilling enough for them? Are you going to be able to give them what they want? Especially if there are people that are skeptics or that even might be cynics and they're just like trying to challenge you or they're trying to see what you can get. And I would always go into that with a little bit of nerves. I think to answer the question best actually would be the biggest problem I had with channeling is being able to get out of my own head. Is to be able to trust the things that I was getting. My own angels tell me, and then I tell other people, don't second guess yourself, just double check it. Embrace that part of yourself that is the spiritual and the physical. Don't ignore the ego because the ego is there to help you. It's to keep you grounded and to make sure that what you're getting is right. When I do readings, I'm usually pretty, I'm not like slow, but I think I might do them a little bit slower than some mediums do. Because I'm all about the quality of what I'm going to say and not about the quantity. Some mediums are very, very quick and they say, I'm getting this and this and this and this, and your father had this and your mother did this, and and they're going very, very fast. And sometimes only half of what you're getting out of that is actually making any sense. Or they're doing that because they're ignoring what they're actually getting, and sometimes they could get something wrong. I try to slow down a little bit because that was the hardest thing about channeling was getting out of my own head and realizing that what I'm doing, people want. They want me to do this, and they're there for the right reasons. And I have to not worry about the fear of failure. I have to be able just to go forward with it and do what I've been called to do. And the other thing that's a difficult thing about channeling is when you go into a home and you're doing channeling there, trying to get them to pay attention. I mean, honestly, the spirits there don't know what your intention is. They don't know you from a hole in the wall, and they see you and they're like, what, you're trying to talk to me right now, dude? Like, who do you think you are? Like, you don't know who I am. You don't, where are you coming from right now, And I had to learn how to come at them from their own level. Like if I come in there with all this light coming out and positivity and woo, here I am, throwing love everywhere and things like that. That the negative spirits kind of look at it like, well, like I said, like, who the hell are you? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So you have to kind of meet them on that vibration a little bit at first. And then you go on that journey with them, understanding, talking with them, understanding where they're coming from, empathizing to the point where we both rise up as things are going forward. I mean, I've been known, and you can ask anybody who knows me, that I will tear up like no one's business when I'm doing a clearing sometimes, because I'm feeling the emotions of the spirits that are there. And man, are they raw sometimes. And so I show them that I care. And so that was the hardest thing about channeling, is getting to that point where I could get them to pay attention and to understand that we were actually there to help and to not just screw with them. So,
right.
Yeah. So I think those are probably the two hardest things. Hopefully, again, that answers the question. I'm hoping.
You are. Let's see. And then there was another question. Have you ever had an angel get mad?
Well, it depends on the definition of mad. My own angel gets mad at me on a daily basis. It's the only time that angels really get upset is when we fail to learn from the mistakes that we make. And we keep on making the same mistakes over and over and over again, or we keep hurting ourselves, or we don't pay attention to the things that are around us. They get frustrated when we don't hear their messages, but that's okay. They know how hard it is for us to do that. That's why they try to make it as obvious as they can. It's just a matter of just paying attention to that intuition, that gut feeling that we get. But an angel actually get mad. So yeah, he gets frustrated with me. And there have been times when angels curse, actually, which is an interesting thing, because they don't see it as cursing, but they know how it impacts us when we hear it. And so I always joke, and I'm not sure what I can say on the show. You can
say whatever. It's
Oh, okay, gotcha. Because the first thing that my angel ever said to me, I left out in the beginning, was as he came into me, Michael, I am your angel, I am your guardian angel. And he said, now cut the shit. And I'm like, what? I'm like, did my angel just curse at me? Like, what did I do wrong? And I still felt all that love, but then it was like an impact. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, this is who you are. Accept who you are. Stop pushing it away. Stop fighting it. Like, he was mad, but at the same time, loving. So, and it really got me going, and it really snapped me out of it. And so I appreciated that from him always. And I always looked to him like that was amazing that you did that for me. As far as other angels getting mad, I have had angels get really upset when we do encounter a fallen, which I said, I've only been a couple of times. But my angels do get very defensive. They get very upset. Still so much love and support around them. But at the same time, I guess that would be almost as if you would akin that to a mother protecting their child from something that they don't know is going to hurt them or not. So they get defensive and upset, and they come in like a shield, and I see them, their energy changes, and it gets super tense. And they're like, no, you're not doing anything right now. Like, you're staying all the way the hell over there, man. Like, you're not going to touch my guy, not going to touch my girl. And I allow myself to feel a little bit from the fallen because of who I am. I had that experience, so I'm okay with processing that. But my angels are very wary when we come across stuff like that. And especially when we come across followers even that are were not very great people in this life. I've come across murderers. I've come across rapists, things like that. And you can feel the anger from an angel, but at the same time, a pity, because you know that something happened to that person in that life to make them turn down that path of maliciousness. And then, of course, their own angel is pretty pissed off too, that they stuck in their life, and now they're even stuck here still doing that, So mad is a very broad term, but hopefully that answers a little bit of that, is that angels are very much like us. They run the gamut of emotions. And so I haven't had one yell at me before, but I have had them get frustrated. So, yeah.
Let's see here. We have time for a couple more questions here.
Sure.
What
Sounds
are your
great.
views on shaman?
On shamans. Okay, wow. I haven't had that anyone ask me that one yet on an interview. I don't. You know what I mean. What I'm trying to say is I don't know everything about shamanism. I have not studied it. I have not gone into it. I know a few people that are former friends or friends now that have studied it. And the one thing that my angels have always told me about shamanism is that there are different kinds of shamanism out there. And that's not even just like the different sects or like, or the different branches. Mm-hmm. It's about how they do the actual shamanism, just like how certain people would do witchcraft. Is that there are those that work against energy or try to make energy work for them. Mm-hmm. And then there are those that work with energy and the natural law. Mm-hmm. And as far as shamans go, if they are the right kind of people that are working with energy and working within the natural law of the elements and trying to be of service to people, then if people are drawn to shamans, then go ahead and try it out. Because there's nothing terrible about somebody that is actually working with the elements, working with nature in order to help somebody. It's just a different title that people have been given, and there's different beliefs in it. But then I have met certain shamans that try to use their knowledge or gifts of connecting with energy or the elements in a negative way that is working not only against energy and spirit, but it's actually almost to the point of negative spell casting or things like that, or trying to create something that isn't there. There are things that certain shaman sects, I think, might do. Like I said, I don't study them, so I am not going to talk like I know, but that's just what my angels have told me, is that there are certain ones, just like anybody. There are certain doctors that we go to that we like because they treat us with respect, with us, they try to help us, and you can tell that they actually care. And that's the same way that I see Reiki practitioners, and that's the same way that I see shamans. So, because they're all trying to heal, and you have to be able to find the right person that resonates with you. Yeah.
That was a good answer.
Thank you. I tried. I haven't had the shaman yet, so whoever asked that one, good job.
Okay, so this is a running question that we have. Darren asks everybody during our shows, what is the one thing in the world that you would not want to be haunted?
The one thing in the world that I would not want to be haunted. Oh. Okay. That I personally own, or just like as anything?
Yeah, like something, an object that you would not want to be haunted.
I think probably a lot of people say probably the toilet. I don't want any kind of spirits anywhere in the bathroom. Like in the toilet. I also, up until recently, had I saw Chucky at a very young age. So I also don't want, and I also don't love haunted dolls.
That's now, a popular one too.
Yeah, the angels have a very interesting viewpoint on that usually it is an energy that is within an object. It is not usually a sentient spirit literally in the doll.
Right.
So, but still creepy. I mean, like, seriously. And then when I'm in the bathroom, that's a safe space. I don't want a spirit coming out of my toilet and trying to talk to me, which I haven't had that happen yet.
Yeah, that is true.
Darren says that's the number one answer.
Yeah, Darren says that's the number one answer. So there you go.
Honestly, because I'm so comfortable with everything else, it doesn't matter if a spirit is in my bed or hanging out in the room with me, or really, it's the bathroom. I mean, that's all of our safe space. That's right. Privacy.
That's right. That's right. And then we did have one more question from Victoria. She wanted to know, how do you help an animal that sees spirits and barks at it?
Yeah, that is difficult. I have been to a clearing recently where there was one of the indications that they have, and they would film it, where the homeowner was in bed, and it was even like during the day, and a little dog is sitting on the bed and just barking at the corner. Like, what's going on? Like, she's trying to get him to stop, and he just keeps looking over there and coming back and looking over there. And she's like, there are no animals, there's no insects, there's nothing weird over there. What's happening? And there were other things going on in her home as well. So obviously for them, we hope the spirits move on. So, but as far as if there is animals that are seeing spirit, one of the things that other colleagues have told me that they've been able to help them with is maybe getting somebody to help them with, because you can do Reiki on animals as well. Mm-hmm. So sometimes energy healing for them, trying to help them feel it. Now, I mean, there are certain people that are more akin to it. I haven't tried it myself. Mm-hmm. Some people have said that they try it and their dog doesn't really like it. That's okay. But I know that that's a really great way to be able to help them kind of even out and center. One of the biggest things that the angels have always told me, the reason why animals are kind of like an early alert system, early warning system for stuff like this, mm-hmm. is because they are kind of like spirit guides that are living. Mm-hmm. So they see and sense these things a little bit more than we do. And the only reason why they bark at it is if they feel like it's threatening us. Because honestly, I mean, and we've seen it in a lot of dogs, it takes a lot to scare a dog, like actually scare it for them to be scared. Mm-hmm. But when they have a protective energy about them to where this is my family, this is my person, I'm not going to let anything harm it, they will just bark and bark and bark to let us know that something is there and to try to keep that thing away. Mm-hmm. So usually letting them know that you're all right. Being like, hey, it's all right. I'm not scared. It's okay. It's not going to hurt me. You know, just trying to connect with them and give that ease of energy, because animals sense our energy as well. Mm-hmm. If we feel as though there's something there threatening us, then they're going to react. Mm-hmm. And they're going to try to help in any way they can. I mean, animals are one of the, besides angels, I feel are one of the biggest sources of unconditional love that we can find. And elementals as well, but I didn't get too much into them. So we want to make sure that they know that we're okay. So connecting with them on that level is one of the best ways that I've heard of, as well as the Reiki. Otherwise, man, you know, have me come out. I'll help the spirit move on, and then they won't be barking anymore. So, yeah.
There you go, Victoria.
Yeah. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I haven't asked that one yet either, so that was good.
There you go. Mm-hmm. All right. So before we wrap up, where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Look up your information, anything on classes?
Yes, definitely. I do have two websites. The first one is angelwhisperermichael.com. And that's the one that's directly to me. It talks about my services, my classes, what I do there. We try to update the classes on there, the workshops area as much as possible. Like I said, I don't have anything current at the moment, but I'm working on stuff for July. And to book readings and things like that, you can definitely go on there. There's a contact form. And there's also riseparanormal.com, which is the group's page. So if people are having issues with spirit or they want to know a little bit more about other team members, they're more than welcome to come onto that website. My Facebook and Instagram are both at Angel Medium Michael. So you can find me on both of those platforms as well for stuff like that. And you can definitely contact me there for scheduling, Reiki, readings, whatever you may feel as though you want. Email, Facebook messaging, and text messaging are always better to contact me with. I leave out phone calls because I've been getting a lot of phone calls, and
I bet.
and, time differences and things like that. I can't always answer, and voicemails get full, and people call at like 11 o'clock at night, and recently I had somebody from Luxembourg contact me, and there's like a 9-hour difference there. So I mean, so luckily they did email, so it worked out very well. But I worry about people constantly, so I won't answer a phone call initially because I also don't answer numbers I don't know. But like I said, text messages and emails and Facebook messaging and Instagram are all great ways to get in touch. Also, obviously, my group has at Rise Paranormal for both Facebook and Instagram as well. And we also have a very, very young podcast ourselves called Rise Talks Paranormal. Yeah, Rise Talks Paranormal. It's on Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. So if people want more info, because me and the group talk about things that we've done, also different kinds of spiritual concepts. So people didn't get to pick my brain enough now. I do go over a few things that I've learned as well during those podcasts. So.
Awesome. I'll make sure that we post this information on our social media as well. So that way, if you guys didn't catch it during the podcast or couldn't write it down fast enough, in the next couple of days, I'll have it up on our Instagram and Twitter, and hopefully Kim can get it on our Facebook page as well. So I'm just going to give quick shout outs to everybody who was in chat real quick. We had myself, we had Kim, we had Nico, we had Christopher, Darren, Matt, Victoria, Holly, and Ron. So thank you everybody who joined us in chat tonight. Thank you for everybody who was not in chat but listening. We appreciate each and every one of you. Next week we do have Rob Garcia on, so tune into that. That's going to be another awesome show. We'd like to thank our guest, excuse me, Michael Terzi tonight. So thank you so much for being on. Thank you everybody for listening, and all have a great night.
Yes, thank you very much, everybody. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to REP Paranormal and Friends. Be sure to check out Kim and Allison on Facebook at REP Paranormal Busters.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.